So digital media plays such a crucial role in the way we function and communicate as a modern society. I'm so excited to talk to all of you who, as content creators, have utilized platforms like Twitch, YouTube, and social media to not only entertain, but also mindfully communicate social messages to your audiences. You all have this amazing ability to influence, to inspire, and to educate with just a tweet, a video, or a song. So with all this being said, I'd love to start off the conversation by asking everyone, what does being a content creator mean to you, and how do you feel about the influential power that comes along with it?
So, one of my greatest values in life, I think, after a lot of reflection and consideration, the greatest value for me, meaning of life, is in conjunction with others, becoming with and co created experiences. I have deliberated at length um, what it is that I want to do with life, and being in service to just causes and greater values that extend dramatically beyond myself is something that I've continuously come back to. Having that interactive power and that engagement with, I think, performativity, but the symbiosis and kind of synthesis, the energy that's kind of created in the co-constitution of a community and these experiences that are crafted with other people inherently is something that fills me with incredible, like, just joy and mirth, and that sense of responsibility, especially with somebody as somebody with exceptional privilege. The responsibility feels very, very, very powerful to breathe that very same power back into a community and watch the ripple effect happen, kind of shifting the zeitgeist and the culture, starting with my own community, but having that then reflect out further and further as time goes on, has been just a beautiful experience that I do not want to do away with in any way, shape, or form. And it's really exciting to see all of these wonderful people doing something similar.
In addition to the daily content you create, with a range of focus from beauty to video games, you all have made a conscious choice to also speak on social issues. What was the inspiration or turning point as to why you decided to incorporate such topics into your content?
I think that just like paying attention, right? Like I think maybe in the beginning when Facebook just started, it was like, let's post about us, and then we learned that we could transmit important information to each other, and then we learned, we're like, oh, am I going to sit back or do something? So I feel like as also like a woman of color and as a survivor of abuse, like those are things that are integrated into my music and how I do things. And I just want people to feel less alone because life can feel lonely. Life can feel like overwhelming. And like, I think we give the love we want to receive. So that's, I try to put out stuff that I want to see more in the world.
I think related to that, in the internet age, we have this infinite potential for connectivity, but a lot of times we end up feeling disconnected. I think in that context, it's like we have all of this at our fingertips, but sometimes it can feel like a void. It can feel empty, like we aren't making those connections. Just any average person. And that responsibility that we have as content creators is also as human connectors, connecting the disconnected and bridging those gaps.
And Kaylin, what about you? What are some of the social justice topics and things that you like to personally speak on as a content creator?
Well, I think to talk about things that are social justice related, I don't necessarily look at it as social justice. I look at it as you aren't able to enjoy my entertainment without acknowledging my existence. I think my entire life is political. I think who I am, the way that I walk around this world, how I function in this society is political. It is inevitable at this point. So me speaking on topics that actively influence me and affect me is not some revolutionary thing. It's not. It's just me talking about my life, So now to get specific, I think that's talking about things is like Black Lives Matter, or talking about things regarding my Black queerness, you know? And I don't like to just say being gay as the only thing, because I do believe that I am Black first, then gay. And I think the intersectionality of all that can really make things even harder in this world, you know? And I think a lot of times we like to overlook that. And then I think that's why within the LGBTQ community, we get a little confused when we don't understand why there was a brown stripe added to the pride flag, you know, because people think that being gay is a monolith in itself. It's like, well, if you're this, then you experienced all these, and it's just a general type of experience, when it's not. It all depends on class, it depends on race, it depends on gender. All those intersectionalities start to, you know, mess with each other. And I think we overlook that a lot.
Hunter, as a streamer, you ease a lot of important issues on topics such as mental health, masculinity, and even environmental philosophies through the use of humor in video games. Could you share more about these social causes with our audiences, and also just some specific examples of discussions you've had in your own community?
Yeah, certainly. I think one of the big factors for me with this that I'd like to introduce is the levity and humor is a critical component for me when it comes to creating a dialectic and kind of opening certain doors for receptivity on the side of the audience. I think it's one of two factors that I use kind of incidentally that are disarming. And I find that to be pretty critical for developing the message in conjunction with a community and with the chat. So two of the big factors for me are destigmatizing mental health issues, particularly for men, and masculinity as such, an emotional expression for men. Part of the reason for this, which is something that I would recommend for anybody, is that these are issues that are personal to me. That by itself creates a conviction and a lot of fuel and passion in the conversations that allows for a deeper connection with a lot of people, particularly people like myself, incredibly privileged white men who have struggled with a lot of these things, especially, as a lot of us know, in the culture that can create a kind of negative self-fulfilling kind of shame spiral that prevents men from discussing the things that they're struggling with and keeps it locked in, only furthering this dynamic. And when you have it locked in for yourself, you tend to reinforce that in culture. So it continues to feed back in. You shame other people for doing this because you don't have that outlet, and then they're shaming other people, and those people are shaming you, and it's this horrible like cycle of shame in masculine culture. So I really like to dive into these discourses in a dialectical kind of format, because I'm never done processing these myself. You know, I'm until the day I die, and who knows, maybe even after that, I'm still kind of going through this continual becoming and this learning, and that can't be done one-sided. Like, I can't just sit and meditate and, you know, become the Buddha of masculinity. That's not a thing that, like, my identity is never going to be complete. So having that feedback with the community is really, really critical for this. And when it comes to shame, I'm a huge fan of Brené Brown and talking about shame resilience. Yeah, big fan of Brené Brown. And I think that these are some critical things to bring up, especially as somebody who is very overtly masculine. You will stumble onto my stream and, you know, see a bearded white guy crushing a video game on the hardest difficulty. You'll stumble onto my tweets and you can see me, you know, chaining bullseyes with throwing axes and talking about minimalistic survivalism and seeing muscular fitness pics. And then right next to that, this incidental conversation about the difficulties and my own personal struggles with developing my own sense of masculinity and my stay in a crisis center because of the depths of depression and anxiety that were like crippling me and taking over my life. And opening those doors myself with this point of privilege that is disarming for a lot of other white men, it really opens up that door, because you see that you have this humor and this levity. all of this comedy, and you see all of the overt masculine features and this masculine performance, and then comes these other parts of the conversation, and those plant little seeds. This is what happened to me in part of my own development here. These plant little seeds of doubt and challenge that allowed me, in my own experience and journey, to start challenging and questioning a lot of the things that seem to have been foisted upon me, the ways that culture kind of, the sociocultural dynamic of masculinity was kind of restricting and confining, that I wasn't allowed to define myself in a certain way. And these conversations, I've streamed for over 10,000 hours, probably like 12,000 hours now. They happen a lot, and it's very organic too. Playing video games, there's a heck of a lot of toxic masculine culture that bubbles up there. And I'm playing a lot of new releases, and so people will come in and just start, spouting off whatever their own worldview happens to be in conflict with the game. And I then get to, walk right into that conversation with all the confidence in the world, because I've been around this block 1,000 times with myself and in this kind of dialectical format. I relish it and I love it for myself in my own sense of responsibility. I think that is something that is an obligation that comes with privilege, is being able to make some of those shifts in the institution from the inside, because those doors are open for me, right? Like every door is open, and easing some of those conversations because of assumptions that people have about me is something that I hold in great value and want to ensure that I don't squander it. Trying to make shifts in culture and personal perspectives and worldviews, sometimes one person at a time, sometimes hundreds or thousands of people at a time. That is something that I cannot look away from. And I think that if privilege is just going to be bestowed upon you, you need to work that to the best of your ability to provide the greatest benefit to the most people.
How are you there for your followers without burning yourself out?
Ooh, well, I can tell you that it is absolutely, it's exhausting, and it is hard to keep up with it all. And I think for me, I think at first I tried my best to like keep up with it, but I think what I have to do now is that I have to take breaks. And when I say that, I mean like I have to completely remove myself. Like you see it, Milk, it's like there are people with PhDs for this, And it's like, I could not be your therapist. I could not be your teacher. I could not be your parent all the time, And I think what happens, even when you are a content creator, you start to realize that it starts to infiltrate your personal relationships as well, even when it goes down to dating, And so it's kind of hard for you to figure out how to turn it off, because you always have to be on all the time, and I think what happens is that when somebody sends you an email, they don't realize that they aren't the only ones sending an email.
Exactly.
Like there are a million people. Like I get hate messages saying, "Oh, I guess you don't talk to your fans. I guess you don't reach out." And I'm like, sweetheart, there's thousands of other people that need the same help, and I can't give that to you. There's only one of me, and I only have so much that I can handle myself.
You've been a big advocate for the drag community, and you've also been speaking very candidly about topics in your YouTube series, Kimora Unfiltered. Could you share some of the ongoing issues that you'd like to highlight and how we as a community can support?
Wow, the Kimora Unfiltered section. I was very skeptical about it. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it. But there was just like a part of me that was like, what, I need to do this. I jumped into the YouTube world about 3 years ago. And before that, I never did YouTube videos. I was always on like a tour. I did shows around the world and things like that. But as that kind of goes, down, you don't get as popular because other girls come in and things like that. I was like, what am I going to do with my life? But I know I love makeup. We live in this world, the beauty world, where obviously there's so much drama. I think the beauty world this is probably like the peak of the mountain of drama. I think now people only wear certain brands because of certain things. I think people are more aware. I think people support who they want to support because of what the brand stands for. And I find that so important. And I think that is something that was never brought out unless the YouTube world brought it out, you know, because I mean, working for a MAC Cosmetics store 9 years ago, that's all I knew. I didn't know what they stood for. So, you know, beauty videos are so popular and I wanted a piece of the pie. So I did my beauty videos. But I just find myself so, it's like I'm selling product, and that's not what I was trying to do. It was just so robotic. I kind of get on here and, you know, I sit in front of my camera and I say what I like, what I don't like, and I put the wig on, bada bing, bada boom. And I thought about it, I was like, you know what? The person that I am off camera is so different, you know, and I wanted to show people that. And I designed Kimora Unfiltered because I just wanted to show people that you don't have to be robotic all the time. And meaning, I want to get on there and curse. I want to talk shit. I want to get on there and not be this person in a wig all the time. You know, one of the biggest issues to me that I really, really want to fix, if I can, is cancel culture. I think cancel culture is so toxic. I think it's it's like a form of bullying on the internet. You know, when you cancel someone, I just find that so harsh. And I think we get to this point where social media, we're like quick to say, oh, this person's this way, this person did that, this person has history, we cannot, he's canceled for life, he should go to hell, he should burn. You know, and it's so easy to write that in text, but is it as easy to say it in voice? Would you actually say that to someone in public? Would you actually tell someone that at school? I don't think so. You know, so I think we live in this, like I said, social media world where we're so quick to say certain things through comments, through emails, through video, and not get the other reaction. This is one thing I said in the unfiltered section. I was like, you guys can unfollow. It's like powerful. It's so powerful to unfollow someone, you know, and I do it all the time. And then maybe in a year, follow them again. I don't know. So I think, you know, when you have control of your social media, you should control it and really allow the vibe that you want, the energy that you want, because that's going to make you who you are.
Can I interject something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kaylin and Kimora, both of you talked about losing followers when you went into a sort of unfiltered mode. Like, this is me. I'm presenting the things that I care about that matter to me, to my identity. This is who I am. This is what you're getting. Losing those followers, something that's occurred to me when I kind of followed a similar trajectory, speaking much more candidly and being much more vocal about matters of justice. I ended up kind of like reconceptualizing it, the loss of followers, as just refining my community, finding the people who actually vibe with the thing that I'm putting out there. That's who I want to connect with. Those are the people that I want to be watching my stuff and talking with me in the chat and in the Discord and whatnot. Not the people who have a completely like diametrically opposed worldview and they're not going to change their mind. I don't want that.
Amen.
Be my guest.
I agree.
There's the door.
So what advice would you give to your current and future content creators who would also like to incorporate social activism into their work?
Comparison is the thief of joy. And in a social media age, we see everybody's highlight reels, right? Like all of my friends are celebrating their victories. And so I see these big milestones being hit. And if I'm comparing myself to all of this, like the best of the best in my feed, it's just invariably going to bring me down. I have to like kind of like reel all of that back in and go like that's not my focus, is trying to be them. I'm still trying to be me. I'm still trying to figure out what that is. And that's a big part of this journey, and focusing on that also, I think, helps go toward that idea of inspiring somebody. When I talk about my own journey in process, still at 38, still in process, you know, other people get to hear that and go like, oh yeah, so I'm not supposed to be done at 24. I'm not supposed to have all the boxes checked off. And that's a big thing. I think that rolls into a critical issue, a key element of this, which is empathy, something that we've talked about several times throughout the panel. But that empathy also has to be it has to have boundaries with it. As Milk was talking about earlier, that sense of kind of like infinite empathy is invariably going to cause harm to you, which in turn allows you to, or prevents you from being able to connect with people on the deep level that you want to down the road. And so you have to like kind of navigate that in a really difficult but interesting way. Part of that empathetic approach I think, is making it personal when it comes to matters of a just cause and being a content creator with principles. The personal connection to the issues themselves can create that empathetic bridge to the people that you want to connect with. And the driver of passion and conviction that you can infuse the cause that you're committed to with is something that opens the door for a lot of other people. Everybody wants to connect with somebody who's got fiery passion about something. And all of us want to open up to that. We want to be recipients of that. So when we have the opportunity as content creators to actually put that into the world, I think that should be done. You know, your unique and personal connection to the matters that you care about of justice, equity, cultural dynamic, a particular cause, those are the things that allow you to become authentic and genuine. And that's what everybody wants to connect with. So then you're able to make those connections with individuals and other collectives, other groups, where everybody wants to be on board because they feel that fire and that passion. And they're like, this is infectious. I want this. I want more of this. Give me more of that. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I do, I run a second brand, I co-own it, called Streamer Square, and it's all about content creator education, like how to really like fill your role, how to really jump into it and level up your game. And one of my focuses there is all about vision and mission. So one of the things that I always come back to, we have a bit of a bingo in a lot of our meetings, is how many times I'll talk about vision in the meeting. It's ubiquitous. I think it is critical for content creators out there of any stripe, but especially those who want to commit themselves to a just cause very openly and publicly, to craft a personal vision for their identity and their brand that's outward facing. And they can keep that hidden. You know, it can be for your eyes only, but make big, bold letters. These are my values. This is what I care about. This is what I want to breathe into the world. Go back, check it regularly, check in with yourself and with that vision and that mission statement to see if you're fulfilling it and how you can grow into it even more.
Wow, everyone. Thank you so much. The future is exciting. It's hopeful. It's been so dope getting to talk to all of you guys and getting to hear how you use your platforms for good to spread these important social messages. We have the power to educate people through the work that we do. So let's just keep creating and let's just keep moving forward. Once again, thank you so much, Hunter Wild, Kimora, Kaylin, and Milk for sharing your insights. My name is Malachi, and this has been the Summit Hollywood Together's Content Creation in the Social Justice Age panel. Thank you for watching.